Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to cover a brief but important update with Ballerina Farm. Now, I didn't expect any type of response to the backlash, yet here we are. Now, the first thing to be noted is that this response was done via TikTok, which doesn't necessarily mean anything, but with the type of backlash that was going on, I know TikToks can be longer now. I would have expected something YouTube length and maybe on YouTube, but that might just be my bias because I am more of a YouTube person. Regardless, a response was put on TikTok and I think we should talk about it. Also because I think the point is being missed, not only via the Ballerina Farm couple, team, whatever, but also via just the general audiences. And I'll explain what I mean by that after we watch the video.
A couple of weeks ago, we had a reporter come into our home to learn more about our family and business. We thought the interview went really well, very similar to the dozens of interviews we had done in recent memory. We were taken back, however, when we saw the printed article, which shocked us and shocked the world by being an attack on our family and my marriage, portraying me as oppressed, with my husband being the culprit. This couldn't be further from the truth. Nothing we said in the interview implied this conclusion, which leads me to believe the angle taken was predetermined. For Daniel and I, our priority in life is God and family. Everything else comes second. The greatest day of my life was when Daniel and I were married 13 years ago. Together we have built a business from scratch. We've brought 8 children into this world and have prioritized our marriage all along the way. We are co-parents, co-CEOs, co-diaper changers, kitchen cleaners, and decision makers. We are one, and I love him more today than I did 13 years ago. We have many dreams still to accomplish. We aren't done having babies. We are excited for our new farm store to open, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for the rest of it. But for now, I'm doing what I love most, being a mother, wife, a businesswoman, a farmer, a lover of Jesus, and making meals from scratch.
Okay, so this is the video that was posted. If I look briefly in the comments, obviously this is her account, so there are going to be a lot of people who are by default in favor of anything she says, will agree with anything she says, and that's fine. However, in looking at the comments, there is a common denominator, and that is a general misunderstanding of what people were critiquing in the first place. Now, I can only speak for myself, and I'll show you the comments in a second, but what I was critiquing was not the traditional lifestyle. If you want to have a traditional lifestyle, that's honestly none of my business. Go ahead and do that. I might critique some of how you do it, but at the end of the day, that's a you thing. In this particular case, though, what I was critiquing was in the interview, and granted, maybe it's all swayed by the journalist and how it's written up, though I did note the tone was in fact cynical. So I was aware of how the journalist stood and I took that into account. A lot of the things in that article were alarming, and it has nothing to do with you being traditional and deciding to have 100 million children. It's more the question of the behaviors of the husband were alarming to me. If someone wanted to marry me and I said I wanted to finish school or I wanted to wait or whatever, and they tell me no, it has to be basically in a month or never, that's not normal to me, and I feel like that's not genuinely caring about someone if you kind of have an expiration date. Those were the types of things that myself and a lot of other people felt were alarming. Does this mean that she's automatically a victim? She hates her life, she didn't choose anything? No, but the way it comes off is he's very much in charge of things that seem rather important. And granted, there's always going to be a dominant person in a relationship, for the most part, but I think it becomes alarming when they control everything from the get-go to the point of not even letting you follow your career dreams at Juilliard. But that's all I was noting. It has nothing to do with the traditional lifestyle as much as how your partner acted. End of. Anyway, I'll show you a couple of the comments from the video just so you know where people stand on this one. So, I'm only reading select comments. Obviously, not everyone's on her side, but I did want to show you the people who misunderstood the point of the critique, backlash, whatever that's happening. Someone said, "The first thing I thought when I read the article, they must feel so betrayed inviting someone into their home for an interview and then having that be the outcome." I don't know what they thought the reporter was doing, But to me, personally, and maybe I've read a lot of scathing articles, if a reporter is talking to me, I assume by default that they're going to take whatever angle they want, almost no matter what I say, which is shitty, granted, but they're not there to write a fluff piece on you. We know that, right? They can't do that. They wouldn't get away with that, and they'd probably get in trouble for writing an article that simply just glosses over the many red flags a lot of people on social media are seeing via your account. So to feel betrayed, that's fine, but when you're opening your doors to a journalist, they're not your friend, they're a journalist. A lot of people were commenting that this is scripted, and I'll come back to that in a second. A lot of people were making jokes about them going to Greece because when he got her a gift, which was an egg apron, she was hoping that they were tickets to Greece, but instead it's just another thing for her to do as work on top of everything else. Someone said, "I'm so glad you have commented on this. I hate the way you're being attacked and how you were portrayed. I'm so sorry this happened to you. Sending much love to you and your family from New York." Someone said, "I had a dream to become a veterinarian. I met a man who I fell in love with and had kids, and I left college. It was my decision. I'm so happy today raising my kids. I wouldn't have it any other way." And while all of these comments are valid, they can be your opinion, the majority of people that I saw critiquing this, first of all, are not critiquing her, they're critiquing him, and they're critiquing how he acted and the consequences on her. I haven't seen anyone saying this is her fault. I've seen people concerned that she spends weeks exhausted in bed. I've seen people concerned that they don't have a nanny when they have a billion children. Those are the things that people are worried about, and that's all mostly on him since, oh right, he's the billionaire and the one who makes the rules in the house, as far as we see. So really, if there's anything she could, I guess, be mad about, is the victim position she kind of has been put in. And I don't know if she's a victim, but at the end of the day, if there's one person making all of the choices, whether you like them or not, are you the victim? I don't know. In terms of this being scripted, I personally do think it's scripted, but the little asterisk I'm going to put on that is that, as we've seen with a lot of social media apologies, not that this is one of them, but it's still in the controversial type of video category. In all of those, there is somewhat of a script. Now, there's some people who have cards, there's some people who just cut, but most people have to figure out what they're going to say when it's a difficult conversation and when they know people probably aren't going to react very well to it, right? And that makes sense. I would probably do the same myself, and I have done with some videos that are more difficult to make than others. That being said, there's a difference between making a script that you yourself have decided to make, which you also usually try to make sound organic, because part of, I think, what weirded people out about this video is that there's all this footage of her getting ready and her working out with her husband or whatever, so just like daily relaxed footage which has a voiceover over it, which I think is also a little bit weird, but I guess it makes sense if you also want to cover your facial expressions or maybe cover the fact that you're reading from a piece of paper or your phone. Regardless, it sounded robotic like this. Like I was reading it straight off a piece of paper and then I was telling you things from the piece of paper. It sounded like that. There were barely any inflections. Now, that's just a conspiracy theory. There's no proof of that, but it did sound robotic. The thing is, contrary to apology videos or whatever the hell else, this seems like a ghost-written thing via her husband because, first of all, saying her and her husband are one, I mean, a lot of people were commenting that, saying that they thought it was ghost-written. For me, it's more the question of, she sounded dead inside while saying all of this, and it could be the depression, it could be frustration, it could be whatever in regards to this whole situation. But it really did sound like someone had a gun to her head while she was reading it. It did not sound convincing at all to me, and perhaps it is to someone else, but I guess we can't even know depending on what the circumstances are inside the home too, because I was talking about this with a couple of people, and a couple of people were saying, you know what, it wouldn't surprise me if he were punishing her, and I say that in quotation marks, in the sense of blaming her for how this interview came out, making him seem like the villain. Those are just theories. There's no proof of that. There can't be any proof of that. But that's interesting to line up with the concept of a script and also the fact that her voice sounds dead inside. All of these things put together don't really make a credible, I love my life kind of video. That being said, it's her life. That's fine. But I also feel like as much as I do think she's in a shitty position and I doubt how happy she really is, That's her business, but I do think they need to consider the optics that from outside, there aren't many people who are looking at you thinking you're having a great time with your weeks of exhaustion at bed, having no nanny with 8 children, having your husband who's a billionaire getting you an egg apron for your birthday instead of something that you want, like tickets to Greece. It doesn't look good, so I don't even know in what world we're supposed to look at that and be like, wow, amazing, so happy, excellent. It doesn't add up to me, the expectations versus the reality, and even just optics wise, I don't know why they think everyone would be enthused. Regardless, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.